Creatively in a hole, get Helmsley out of control. Amped up with BC, Wednesday the 29th of October of the year 2025. And I've got numbers, Raw's rating, SmackDown's rating, and even AEW Dynamite from last Wednesday. Don't think I forgot. We'll also have a response for Bubba Dudley, who is chiming in the Goldberg-Asuka situation. And Bubba is clueless as to why so many fans had a problem with what Goldberg said regarding Asuka. But I don't think Bubba understands. It's not just mispronouncing Asuka's name or calling her that girl or some girl or the Japanese girl. No, Bubba, it's bigger than that. And BC will help educate Bubba later in today's show. We gotta bring back the old segment we used to do. Stupid shit that Bubba says. That's coming up in today's Amped Up as well. And I do have to give a shout out over to the NXT brand. I caught a little bit of NXT last night, and there's something they did production-wise / creatively that I have no idea why the main roster isn't doing it. Is this Shawn Michaels just being more creative than Paul Levesque McMahon? Looks it. We'll talk about it. But first, we must start this show off with some breaking news. The Scooby-Doo shoe mystery is a mystery no more. WWE has unveiled who those loafers belong to, who those dress shoes and the cowboy boots and the sneakers. That's right, these vignettes that have been playing from WWE, they've been really hyping up these mystery individuals in the loafers and the dress shoes. And everybody had their theory, right? Their Austin theory. A lot of people thought Austin Theory, that they're joining the Vision. That's it. He's going to join the faction, BC. It's Austin Theory. He's finally getting a push, to which I said, it makes no sense. Why would you put Austin Theory in a faction? What is that going to do for him? They couldn't book him as a singles wrestler. They put him in a tag team with Grayson Waller and didn't know what to do with him. Now you want him as a fourth wheel or a fifth wheel? They couldn't book him as a singles or a tag team guy. You want him in the back of a pack? Because the way they're going to try to book Braun Breaker going forward, and if Brock Lesnar's associated with Heyman, which it looks like he is, what is Austin Theory going to do in a faction? You think he's going to be relevant? Guys, they don't book factions like they used to. They're not the same anymore. Back in the day, factions were created to create epicness within their own group, but also help elevate a face, because you saw some really good stories, whether it's NWO, DX, even the Hart Foundation. Not just Jim the Anvil and Bret Hart. I'm talking when they had Owen and the Bulldog and Pillman. They were a heel faction. That was when it was like US versus Canada. Man, that was such good television. Deep into the heart of the Attitude Era. That's when factions mattered, man. Because there was epic story to go with it. These days, the sad truth is there is none of that anymore. They create factions left and right. There's no shortage of factions. None of them have any substance. You don't care about any of them. Because they don't do anything. Because there's no story to them. They're just a group of single wrestlers that get together and they do absolute nothing. They do nothing. LWO. Who's clamoring for the LWO? I haven't seen them in several weeks, maybe months. And if I wasn't doing this upload right now, if we were not doing the Amped Up show, I can't tell you I'd be talking LWO. They've done nothing memorable. Nobody is clamoring to see them. And to be completely honest, as we always are in this channel, I don't even know if they're still around, the LWO. I don't even know if that's a group anymore. I'm sure Helmsley doesn't know. One random Friday, he might just get them all together. Remember we had the LWO? Yeah. Print up some LWO shirts. I'm going to put them in a segment. LDF. Escobar's Phantasma group. Who's clamoring for them? We don't even know if Escobar's with the company one day, the next company he re-signed. Nobody cares. Judgment Day. What has the Judgment Day done? In months. Check that. Since their inception, they won IC titles. I believe a women's championship. They've had tag titles. Yet they're involved in nothing memorable. Nothing. The Liv Morgan, Mysterio, Rhea Ripley thing. That was it. Other than that, Carlito's walking around with an apple and making you giggle until they kicked him to the curb. Then Dominic had to step it up in the Laugh Factory department. I never know what Balor and JD McDougalberger are doing. Never. They don't know what they're walking around aimlessly. Talking about tag titles in a division that is completely non-existent. They have wasted Finn Balor's talent. It's a shame we never saw the Demon for years. The Demon, Finn Balor, was a superstar. This Finn Balor, Helmsley looks right past him. What is the Judgment Day? They're boring. It's stupid. They're in the little clubhouse every Monday, and maybe they make you laugh a little. Factions are not what they used to be. The vision sucks. When they formed, it sucked. It didn't make sense. Rollins is with Heyman. Why? Rollins is his own mouthpiece. So there was promos where Rollins would be talking for 5-6 minutes and Paul Heyman would be saying nothing behind him. Doesn't work. And now you have this vision. I'm sure they don't have a vision for this vision. They're taking it literally by the day, by the hour with this, quote, vision. Factions are not what they used to be. So no, I would never in a billion years put Austin Theory in a faction. They couldn't even get him over in a tag team. You want him with 3, 4, 5 other dudes? And then you heard, well, BC, maybe the Scooby-Doo shoe mystery is Andrade. It's Andrade. Bet you it's Andrade. That's what it is. It's Andrade. He's coming back to WWE. Or we're just playing Frogger, right? He's in WWE. And then the next day he's in AEW. Just kidding. He's back in AEW. Psyche, he's over in WWE. JK, he's back in AEW. Where's Andrade going to pop up? It's like, where's Waldo? Andrade is the mystery loafer vignettes. Andrade is going to be the big reveal. Is that exciting to you? Right, that's what BC was responding. What are you guys talking about? Andrade after 2 weeks or 2 months of these vignettes, and you're happy with Andrade? Whoa, it was Andrade! Andrade was just with WWE a month ago. Nobody cared. In the mid-card, having mid-card matches that nobody was talking about after the fact. The only reason Andrade is in the news, aside from Charlotte getting the divorce with him, is the fact that he is jumping from company to company. Let's be honest, man. That's the only reason Andrade's been in the news. Not that he's doing anything in the ring of relevancy. But we're going to do 2 months of vignettes for Andrade. What else did you hear? Gunther, that would have been the most logical. Gunther versus John Cena is the matchup for December 13th. Cena's last match, Saturday night's main event in DC. Cena even posted a pic of the loafers that look like Gunther's attire, adding fuel to that fire. So it made sense. Even Cena played into it. But, lo and behold, WWE unveiled it after just a few days. Their whole plan was to show these wrestlers' their shoes. The bottom of their dress pants and their shoes. And it was all for a WWE WrestleMania 42 promo commercial. That's right. They've already aired it. It's with Cody Rhodes. It's Cody Rhodes' loafers. It's Roman Reigns' dress shoes. It's CM Punk's sneakers, and it is Brock Lesnar's cowboy boots. And they're all sitting around a table. And it's supposed to be like a high rollers casino type table. I guess there's like a chip that they're spinning. I think that's what it was. And they all have a serious look. And in the shadows is Paul Heyman and Paul Levesque McMahon. Yeah, Hunter Hearst Helmsley is in this commercial because he has nothing else to do, right? It's not like he's the chief of creative and the chief of content. No, he doesn't have... He's superstar. He's the face of the company. His schedule is booked from sunup to sundown, right? That's Helmsley. He doesn't have a moment to be in the office trying to give us creative television, trying to give us the best content and product imaginable. No, BC, you got to remember, he's the face of the company, and he has obligations. He has to film all the commercials and do the voiceovers. That's right. If you saw the commercial, Helmsley isn't just in it. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? A lot of you guys have already seen it and heard it. Guys, the voiceover is Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He's in the commercial, and he's doing the voiceover of the commercial. Just like he has done all of the WrestleMania voiceovers and promos. Just like he does 99% of all event promo material. Instead of having his wrestlers do such. I don't think you guys understand how long this takes. It may seem like it takes a half an hour. Basically, he's just reading some lines real quick, does it a couple times, that's it. No, there's a whole setup to it, and it's more than just a couple of times. And there's so many ways that he has to say it. And then in editing is when they'll come up with the final version that you may hear, which is maybe 15 seconds to 30. But it takes hours. And the actual commercials, the promo material itself, trust me when I say that is a half-day bare minimum, in most cases over 12 hours. Wardrobe, makeup, all the different angles they have to record, sometimes several times per angle. And this is somebody who is the chief of creative and content. Where are you finding the time to do all that? And don't forget, he shows up to all of the sporting events to see his celebrity friends, right? Pacer games, the football games, the boxing, the UFC fights. He's always right there. His trips to the White House. Don't forget all of the podcasts and the talk shows. Pat McAfee and so many other. I mean, he literally goes there. Like, Pat McAfee will have you call in via like a Skype or something, right? And you can be a guest via the interweb machine. Helmsley wants to play superstar, so he actually shows up to the studio. You have nothing else to do, bro? You have to be on camera all pristine right there in studio? This is what is infuriating to so many fans. Is that not only are we getting the worst creative of all time, but the dude at the top doesn't even care. Like, he is blatantly showing you he's giving you nothing. He's not even taking the time to give you anything. That is what is so infuriating to so many fans. You couldn't have done this whole commercial with just Paul Heyman in the back. You don't even need Paul Heyman. You have Cody, you have Punk, you have Roman, Brock. But Paul Heyman's in the back. Oh, okay. Why is Helmsley there? There's no reason. Well, basically, he's the face of the... Why is he the... Is anybody asking why he's the face of the company? Vince McMahon wouldn't just be in random promos like this just because, bro. Vince has done voiceovers in the past for like WrestleMania. Absolutely. But Vince wouldn't just be there just to be there. Right, Helmsley is not like an on-air President Jack Tunney. You guys remember Jack Tunney? He's not like a president. He's not like a TV general manager. He's just supposed to be IRL, Chief of Content and Creative. Why is he in the background talking to Paul Heyman? It's because he wants to play Superstar. And he's voicing it all over? Why? You have nothing else to do? Like your job? Netflix is pissed off at you because your product sucks. ESPN is pissed off at you because your product sucks. Fox will never do business with you again because your product sucks. Peacock is already looking. NBC Universal for a way out of their deal. SmackDown, it will be going under 1 million viewers by the end of the year. That's what it looks like. We'll talk more about that coming up. These aren't just fans anymore, guys. These are the people that they have taken. WWE has taken millions and millions of dollars from, cashed the check, and left them high and dry. They're all pissed off. And fans, more and more by the week, by the show, are becoming pissed off. And this is why. It's not even just bad creative. There's no creative because the guy at the top is spending no time in the office. BC, maybe he's texting back and forth in the SUV or the Uber on the way over, his limousine. Basically, he's doing creative while he's on his way to the podcast, while he's on the way to the commercials, while he's on the way to the White House or the Pacer game or the UFC fight. Yes, because that's the same. You know who Vince McMahon used to do? This was the owner of the company, mind you. Helmsley isn't even the owner. The owner of the company, who was also head of creative and everything else. He had his hand in all the cookie jars. Do you know what Vince McMahon would do? He would be in his office from sunup to sundown, and then some. He would add a 25th hour to the day. Nobody till this day knows how he did it. But Vince McMahon had a 25-hour day. And he spent every one of those hours in the office. Helmsley hasn't seen his office since 1925. That's a long time. That's 100 years. Helmsley hasn't seen his office. He doesn't know. He has no idea. He doesn't want to do the Vince McMahon shit. He wants to act like he is. He wants to play the role of Vince, but he doesn't want to do Vince shit. He couldn't walk a mile or a foot in Vince McMahon's shoes. He could never, because he wouldn't know how to do the actual work. So you're going to see him just be the face of the company. He'll do all the voice. So I think he does the opening signature every Monday and Friday, doesn't he? Then, now, together, forever, whatever that is. The opening to every show, I think it's Helmsley who does the voiceover. And you wonder why fans are pissed? Dude, you have a supposed big event this Saturday called Saturday Night's Main Event. Do you know what the main event is? A guy that calls himself Main Event, but he should be nowhere near even the mid-card, Jason Yeaterman versus CM Punk. And that's for a world title. Could you imagine CM Punk this whole time finally gets a world championship and it's against another face on a Saturday Night's Main Event? In Utah, I believe. Against Jey Uso. All the people that CM Punk has been in the ring with. And it's Jay Yeaterman who CM Punk beats for the world. Wow, what a climactic moment. That's going to go up there in the annals of time. Said no fan ever. So CM Punk winning this match is absolutely nonsensical. And on the flip side, your only other option, Jason Uso wins the title again. The same guy who won it at Mania by choking out Gunther to his own maneuver in 8 seconds, and for 2 months held the title and ran the ratings into the ground. To the point where Helmsley had to take the title off of him in just 2 months. We all know it was a failed experiment, right? Look at all the numbers, look at all of it. Just because kids are dancing in the arena, that does not translate over to the audience watching at home. You guys see, right? They dance in the arena, but the ratings go backwards. That's not just a coincidence. There's a reason for that. The people at home are not having fun yeeting for 10, 15 minutes every Monday. What do you think they're doing at home? Here comes the good part. We're going to dance for 15 minutes. Honey, come in here. Come on. Kids, come on. We're going to start yeeting. You think families are what? Maybe there's a kid at home who's eating while the parents are like, "What are we doing? Why did we even have this little shit? What was he doing? Can't you just watch Power Rangers or something?" No. Your 18 to 49 demo, which is your main demo, that's the only ones that advertisers care about. Your 18 to 49 is not yeeting for 15 minutes every Monday. They're not. So what's their answer? Let's put the title back on Jey Uso. Might as well. You've had the crappiest year in WWE history this year. I would take the error with Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, the Body Donnas, and all the stupid, quote, gimmicks. I would take all those gimmicks in a heartbeat, other than this year for WWE. I would take Doink the Clown wrestling a wrestling match over J.D. McDougalburger doing wrestling moves. Absolutely. I would take the Body Donners or Duke the Dumpster Drosy over Ray Phoenix any day. Any day. No question. It's not even close. The Mountie with his electric shocker. You kidding me? Val Venus? With his stupid, what was it? It's like porn gimmick. Val Venus? I would take that over a Ray Phoenix and Andrade. A Tozawa. Pretty Deadly. Viking Experience. Maxine Dupree. Sam Zayn. Bro, I would take Steve Blackman. I would take Lance Storm at this point. Lance Storm was so dry. It was funny. This is the worst year creatively I've ever seen from WWE. It's at the helm of Helmsley. So you might as well cap it off with Jey Uso yet again winning the title. Why not? Right? This is Helmsley as defiant as ever, as stubborn, as petty. This is him saying F you to ESPN, F you to Netflix, F you to Fox, F you to NBC Universal, Comcast, and F you to the fans, which he has told us many times. He cannot stand fans anyway. Never could, even when he was a wrestler. He was telling us to F off. So this is his, everybody's coming down hard on him finally. And this is him doubling down. Nope. You wanted LA Knight. You wanted this person. You wanted that. You're going to get Yeeterman again. Because the only other option is CM Punk wins the title. And that's what we were all waiting for, the big moment CM Punk gets the championship, right? That was the big moment. Should have been at a Mania. Should have been in a big match with a top heel, with a big storyline. I mean, even Drew McIntyre and CM Punk had a better story than what Jay and Punk are doing right now. And that wasn't even for a title. That was over a stupid bracelet. Not stupid to Punk. Meaningful to Punk. A bracelet. That wasn't even for the world title. That was better than... What is this? Nobody knows what this is. CM Punk and Jey Uso. Nobody's clamoring to see that. Nobody's asking for that. It doesn't interest anybody. They back themselves into the corner, into a hole, really. And they can't even dig themselves out of it. Unless there's some type of schmaz and nobody gets the title, I guess that's the only thing we can hope for. And then you got to put it up on the line at Survivor Series. Hey, what a concept. Survivor Series is in a few weeks. They haven't even mentioned it. So here's a concept. You put a schmaz. It has to extend a few weeks to Survivor Series, and maybe people would care. But you don't want to see Yeeterman and CM Punk again at Survivor. So what do? Do you add a third or a fourth? Is LA Knight and Breakker? Do you do a Fatal 4? I hate multi-person schmazes, but that would be the only way to try to salvage this. I doubt they would give it to Knight, so maybe Punk or Breakker would get it in that aspect, if they're not in a War Games match. Because again, Breakker could be part of the vision in the War Games. I have no idea. They don't have an idea. You can tell they're just going by the seat. They're literally by the day, by the moment. Flying at the seat of the pants. So where were we going with this? That's Andrade, the mystery shooter. No, that's not that. What is that going to do? Austin Theory and part of the vision. What's that going to do? Gunther would have been the most obvious choice. No, it was promotional ads for WrestleMania 42. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley was in this ad with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. Hunter Hearst Helmsley put himself in these commercials and did the voiceovers. And you wonder why fans are pissed off. This guy is rubbing it in your face that you are getting horrible television and he is the one responsible for it. And he's laughing about it and doing everything else on camera to tell you he doesn't care because he's getting paid no matter what. And he's getting several checks. He's not just chief of creative and content. He's the head of talent relations. That's another check. He's the executive producer. That's why that credit at the end is very important. He gets paid a whole different check. And he is a talent. He is actually on their talent roster, guys. So that's him telling you whenever he feels like it, he's going to be on TV, on camera, because he's going to play superstar. He cannot help it. He has to be the face of the company somehow. And even though he can't wrestle anymore, he is going to find a way to be a superstar and bigger than anyone else. That's why Unreal is a thing. He said, if I can't be on the actual show as a superstar, I'm going to create a show that exposes the show starring me, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And he starts all these shows and he ends them, right? He does the voiceover at the very start of the show, the signature. And at the end of the show, it's his name that pops out in the executive credits. If it's a Hall of Fame, he's going to be the headliner or his wife. It's always going to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and it's so nauseating, man. If the shows were good, okay. But because they've been so bad for so long, no. We are exhausted seeing this dude on TV nonstop or hearing this dude nonstop doing the voiceovers. It's nauseating. Do your job. Get into the office, lock the door, and work. No, that's asking too much. And even if he did sit his ass down, would he know what he's doing? Of course not. So anyway, let's wrap up that. Right, we went everywhere with that opening story, man. But a lot needed to be said. But that was all. Think about this. The biggest story for WWE this year, or at least one of them, was mystery shoes. Who are the loafers? Who do they belong? Who's the dress shoes belong? Ooh, are those cowboy boots? Who could it be? And everybody's like, oh, wow, it could be this. Maybe they do have a plan. Maybe it's something big. And then they show you a WrestleMania 42 advertisement of Cody, CM Punk, Roman, and Brock sitting down with Heyman and Levesque McMahon watching from behind. Wow, I'm so glad they got all of them together to film such a stupid commercial because it is dumb. It is completely stupid. Paul Heyman and Roman are supposed to having some beef, no? But they're in the same room. They just filmed a commercial together. Oh, it's adorable. But we're not trying to protect any stories anyway, right? Because Helmsley's there. And his number one mission, expose the business. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed those vignettes, man. I hope it created a buzz, a little bit of an excitement for a couple of days because it's over. WWE has unveiled. It is just Cody, CM Punk, Brock, and Roman, Paul Heyman, and Paul Levesque McMahon staring at like a poker chip or something. I don't even know. They were spinning some type of chip. Almost like a casino type setting, I believe. That's what they were doing. Wow. This must have been right out of the Hunter Hearst Helmsley creative pot. So glad that this was what they spent their time on. You wonder why the show sucks so badly. This is what they spent their time on. What if we get the top stars together, most of them part-time, and what if we sit them around a table and they stare at a coin? And Paul, you guys can like watch them like, whoa, this is wild. I actually want to give some props over to NXT real quick before we go over some numbers and BC educates Bubba yet again, which we will do later in the show. But I want to give some props over to NXT for the direction they took creatively last night. Now, most of this may seem minuscule, but trust when I say none of this is small in the grand scheme of it all. All of this is very important, and they should be doing a lot of this on the main roster. But NXT started the show with Trick Williams in the production truck, and he's furious, and he's flipping out at everybody in the truck. These are people just doing their jobs. He storms out of the production truck, goes across the lot into the venue, not down the ramp on the main entrance or the main door, no, side entrance, through the crowd, grabs a mic, basically hijacks the show. And then, of course, you have Ava come down, the general manager. Ricky Saints comes down. They have a brawl, suits and ties, security. Listen, all you see in WWE is brawl after brawl after brawl, under Hunter Hearst Helmsley anyway. At least NXT does theirs a little better. And Saints and Trick Williams did theirs pretty good. And again, the way they set it up meant everything. But just the fact that you had a dude start off the show going rogue, right? He's in the production truck, then he's outside the venue in the parking lot, hijacks the show. That creates a real sense that anything can happen for the rest of the show. Even subconsciously, you now are thinking, damn, if that's how it's starting, right? It creates a sense of intrigue. And it's something that's so small. Usually it is. And then later in the night, Trick Williams and Ricky Saints go through this big gimmick. It was like an NXT logo. This big like structure. And Ricky Saints just like spears Williams right through it. They both go through it. It was just a gimmick. A gimmick structure, but it was so well done, man. You don't usually see something like that. It just takes a little creativity. It takes a little bit of time. You got to plan it out. You got to get these gimmicks. You got to plan it all right. It takes time. It takes resources. It takes care. You actually have to love what you're doing and want to have fun doing it. That's one thing I will say about the AEW wrestlers in AEW. You may say a lot of the stuff they do is off the wall, maybe stupid, there was no need for it, but they are loving what they're doing, and you can tell. They're trying to be innovative. They have all these ideas. Fun is needed. A pro wrestling show without fun is a failed experiment. And I'm not talking about wrestlers making you giggle or laugh, by the way. That's not the fun I'm talking about. Like, you have to be captivated by what you are watching. It has to be making you feel all these emotions through the 2 or 3 hours. It has to. That's why you watch a sitcom or an hour-long drama. It's why you watch a movie. Pro wrestling should be all of that elevated. So I love the fact they're in the production truck, then they're going through this structure at the end of the night. Little things like that are not so little. And that was in the main event, by the way, Jordan Grace versus Kalani Jordan. Two of my faves in this industry. So when I heard that was the matchup to end the night, I knew I had to tune into that one. It was a little sloppy at times, no question. I will absolutely say they don't have the best chemistry, but for what it was, they did damn good. I knew it was going to be a schmaz finish. So they worked with what they had. Couple of big botches by Jordan Grace, but it was saved pretty good. They didn't go off the rails because of it. And they've always utilized the parking lot pretty well, actually. And they did it with JC Jane again last night and her group, right? Arriving to the arena through the lot and then leaving the arena. And at the end of the show, pissed off and talking crap to the camera as they're about to leave the venue. So it's little things like that, man. Get outside of just the ring. You know, you have all these, quote, street fights these days, and they're not even outside the arena, bro. Like, even if you're in the parking lot, it's still not a street fight. But can you at least give a damn to go into the parking lot? Right out, it's just a door. You open the door, you're outside. Just go there and use your stupid little kendo sticks and your trash cans. They can't be bothered. They cannot be bothered. Just go into the ring and we're going to label it a street fight. Where are we this week? Chicago? Awesome. It's a Chicago street fight. Sir, what makes it a Chicago street fight, though? You sure you don't want to just go? I mean, because we can shut down the street for 1 hour. We can get a permit for like $500. I got permission from the town. No, we don't need to. Just put the kendo sticks in the steel chairs and a Slim Jim table in the middle. We'll call it a street fight. Because we're in Chicago, see? So we can call it, yeah, see? It's Chicago street fight. Yeah, see? Oh, okay, boss. No. So at least, I had to give some props over to NXT, man. There was many times last night where you got away from just the ring. If only the main roster would have fun and get creative, and then we could be captivated by a wrestling show again. Whoa, what a concept! BC is asking too much, obviously. Basically, can you lower your bar, please? Can you lower your expectations, please, Basically? Well, first of all, I have no expectations anymore. This product is so bad that expectations went out the window 3 years ago when Helmsley took control of this company. And as far as lowering my standards, lowering my bar, absolutely not. That's where I will tell you, you better heighten your standards. Heighten your bar. Raise it. Stop accepting this mediocre crap. Those are the ones that are letting Helmsley off the hook time after time after time. And he becomes emboldened to give you nothing, but yet take more and more in return. Some numbers real quick, man. Raw. Now, mind you, guys, this is from last week, not this past week. Not a few days ago. Last Monday. So I believe that was like the 20th, I want to say. So this was coming off the heels of the Vision taking out Rollins, and that was supposedly the big story. There was a bunch of title matches. We even had new tag team champions. The tag titles changed hands over to, who was it? AJ Styles and How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee. So Helmsley threw everything out there on that Monday but the fish tank. So did it work? Well, the week previous, they scored a 2.4. On that show, the 20th of October, they scored a 2.6. So they went up 200,000 in viewership over the course of 7 days. Now, again, that's over the course of 7 days, not one night. So the advantage being on Netflix is massive. When they were on cable, they were counting one night. They count 7 nights for Netflix, and they went up 200,000 in viewership. That is with everything being promoted. So whether you look at that as a success or not, that's your prerogative. I can tell you this. This is a global number, by the way. They still pulled about 1.5 in domestic. But I will tell you this, if you're getting 200,000 viewers, you keep running and you don't look back like you just robbed the bank. Because WWE, no matter what, needs anything going in the upward trajectory, not backwards. They probably saw that number and they were like, take it, go. Now, the downside is that they threw everything at this show and they just got back to the average they were at over a month ago, 2.526. That was their average, guys, until they dipped all the way to like a 2.122. But 2.426. So can they sustain that? This past Monday was rough. It's going to be very interesting. It's getting colder. A lot of people want to be inside, and they're turning on their TVs. They're turning on more Netflix. If there's ever a time to raise that number, it's now. But the product is so damn bad, they're not taking advantage of it. SmackDown was not so fortunate. SmackDown last week pulled a 1.18 this past Friday night. This was Jade Cargill's heel turn. Dragunov had a U.S. title match, and Drew McIntyre took on Jim Uso in the main event. And they fell from a 1.18 to a 1.14. So, another 40 some odd thousand viewers were lost. So, that might not sound like a lot, right? 40,000, but now you're 14,000 away from going right back to 1.0 some odd, which means you have no wiggle room. If you have one bad week or there's one big championship game or a holiday and something's going to dent your number, you could literally go under 1 million before the holidays. Before the holidays. You can't even use that as an excuse. So that's why you did not want to go down with this number. But what did you expect? You have Drew McIntyre versus Jim Uso. Who do you think is going to care about that, man? Dragunov came back after a year off, and they just put a title on him, and that's supposed to make people care? I've always liked Dragunov's work. He was completely, creatively botched his first go-around before he got injured. And that helps people not care. Nobody cared about him before he got injured. Then he's gone for a year, comes back, and he wins a title. That's not how you book Dragunov. You just don't throw titles on people instantly. How did that work out with the Motor City Super Soakers? Basically, their debut, they got titles. How did that work out for them? It doesn't. Throwing titles on individuals isn't the solution. You have to put care and effort into the booking. And then Jade Cargill turns heel. That was one of the top things that happened on the show. Is that saying anything? Does that many people care? Probably not. Many say she should have been heel anyway. It was hilarious. A lot of people in the community were like, oh, I thought she already was heel, because nobody cares about Jade. Face, heel, and in Hunter Hearst Helmsley's WWE, it doesn't matter if you're a face, a heel, you're not going to be booked as such anyway. Look at Rusev. Joining forces with Penta to take out the Starbucks menu this past Monday. Why? What in the world? And then Rusev's taking on Dominic Mysterio 2 weeks straight. So what are we supposed to... Is Rusev a face? Is he just a tweener? Because he's not a heel anymore? And when did that happen? And then Shinsuke's a heel, goes away for a few months, other than creepily listening to people's promos every week. And then all of a sudden he has a wrestling match, his old theme is back, and he's all of a sudden a face shaking hands with Sami Zayn. How did that happen with Shinsuke? How is he all of a sudden a face? Like, none of this has any... none of this makes sense. It's just happening out of the blue. Nobody's supposed to ask any questions. If you do, you're not a real fan. Helmsley tells us to fuck off. This guy books for the moment. He puts no thought in anything. He doesn't care what happened the week before. He doesn't care that somebody is a face or a heel, or that this doesn't make sense, or it leads to something that's going to be an issue. He doesn't care. And because he doesn't care, he does it. It's nonsensical. It's stupid. Nobody likes it. It leads to nothing. And the product is garbage. The fans are not interested. And the talent looks like idiots. Jade turned heel. Wow. Dragunov has a title and he defended it. And Jim is in the main event. And you wonder why your rating is at a 1.14. You are that close yet again to going under 1 million. They were just there a couple of weeks ago. They're at a 1.025. So when they got the 1.18 last week, they were like, oh, thank goodness. Let's get back to a 1.2, 1.3, and just don't look back. They couldn't even get back to that 1.2. And then AEW. I have to talk AEW Dynamite from last week. They pulled a 477. That is down from the 517, 520 the week previous. Something like that. But they were over $500,000 2 weeks ago. Last week, they dipped under $500,000 yet again. And when they pulled that $500,000 plus, everybody thought this was the turnaround, right? All right, baby steps. Let's get back to 3 quarters. First, 600,000, then get to 650, right? Baby steps. So there was a lot of optimism. And unfortunately, this week, it just fell yet again. It went back down to 470 some odd. And BC is going to be absolutely as amplified, honest, and candid as I can be with you. I caught that show for the most part. I actually did some notes on it. You're like, BC, I don't remember you talking about it. Yeah, no, I didn't. And that should tell you everything you need to know. I watched it. I did some notes on it. It was never going to be a full throttle review, but I wanted to talk about it at least, right? Because I had the time to watch most of it. I said, hey, let me talk about some of this on Amped Up. Guys, it was so uneventful that it kept getting booted from top stories. And so it got booted to the next Amped Up, the next day. And then it got booted off of that show. So then it got booted to the next day. And before you know it, it was past the weekend and it wasn't even relevant anymore. Guys, the reason they dipped under $500,000 yet again is because not enough people cared. BC certainly did not. There was multiple multi-person schmaz matches on this show. 2 6-man tags for the dudes and an 8-man tag for the ladies. Or 4 teams of 2. Jamie Hayter and Amanada defeated Megan Bain and Penelope Ford, Sky Blue and Julia Hart, and Willow and Harley. And Hayter pins Ford. Post-match, Hayter chooses Blue and Hart for the first round of their tag title tournament. And the other 2 multi-person schmazes, Ops defeated Syndicate, and I don't even remember the other one. I think, who was it? Cassidy, Briscoe, and Roddy defeating the Riders. That was the bulk of your Dynamite. A bunch of multi-person schmazes. So if you got a casual fan tuning in, it's a lot to take in inventory-wise. You're not just going to go, oh, I should care about this. No, there's too much going on. You can't zone in on anything. Sadie's is out there with a puppet. The puppet goes into Cake. Then Mercedes is powerbomb through Cake or something via stat. Kyle Fletcher has a promo with Don Callis. Briscoe is out there asking for one more match with Kyle Fletcher. And Darby Allin had a promo. I took a sip of coffee and he was already done. AEW hyped up. We're going to hear from Darby following Wrestle Dream. Yeah, that's one thing that fans could be like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. No, I had a sip of coffee. His promo was already done. Like a Jey Uso promo. The only difference is Darby can actually cut a promo. Uso's promos are so fast because Helmsley knows he can't cut them. So have him dance for 15 minutes, say 4 letters, 1 word, over. AEW hyped up. We're going to hear from Darby, and BC is asking, did we though? From what I gathered, somehow we're still doing Darby and Mox. We're doing a lot of things that Wrestle Dream was supposed to kind of put an exclamation on, but we're continuing them. And that's fine, just do them properly. But I say every week, man, Dynamite at least doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel like a chore. That's the good news. Dynamite has a real chance to capitalize on the failures of WWE creatively. But it just seems that every single time Helmsley fumbles his balls, whenever Stephanie allows him to have his balls back, he fumbles them. And Tony Khan is right there. Pick the ball up and score. But it's like TK doesn't know what to do. And he's just sitting there like, ooh, fumble. Yes, fumble. Get on it, Tony. Score. Or Helmsley drops back and he throws. And it's right to Tony Khan. It's not to his guys. It's not to his receiver. He throws it right to the cornerback, Tony Khan. Khan is there for the interception, but it just bounces off his chest like nothing. He doesn't want to get the interception. Dude, Helmsley is throwing the ball right to you. TK, catch it and score a touchdown for your team. Helmsley is giving AEW every opportunity in the world to capitalize off of their blunders. And TK is in La La Land. I love the aspect of focus on us, not them. That's good to a point. Right? There's a line, though. You do have to realize that they're dropping the ball every single show. You can be scoring every show. And this is what you came up with? Even AEW diehard tried and trues would have to agree that was not their best foot forward last week. And nobody should be shocked that they dipped back under $500,000. I wasn't happy about it because I watched most of it, if not all of it. Until the main event, Bandito was in it. I have no use for that. That may seem harsh. I don't. I didn't wait 2 hours to watch a Bandito match. No thanks. But up until that point, I watched it all. I did some notes. I wanted to talk about it. There was nothing to talk about. I mean, even I will say AEW has put together much better shows than what I saw last week. I was not shocked at all when I saw they dipped back. I'm really looking forward to this week, really them getting back on track, man. They have to get away from all of these multi-person schmazes. Put the puppets away for a second. You have an opportunity, man. There's so much potential in AEW. Tony Khan just in La La Land, like booking for himself. I've no... It's frustrating. And I want to end this amped up show just in a little bit of a response to Bubba Dudley, who recently chimed in on the Asuka Goldberg situation. And Bubba Dudley he doesn't understand why everybody is so upset because he feels Goldberg said nothing wrong. He said, that man said nothing wrong. He said, so what? There was one instance where he mispronounced Asuka's name and called her Asuka. That's BS. You know damn well her name's not Asuka. You're in the industry, dude. You're one of her peers. Whether you like it or not, you keep coming back, collecting a big check. You're in the same locker rooms. That's your peer. And this isn't just, it's not like Maxine Dupree. It's not Eva Marie. This isn't Maria Kanellis, Lacey Evans, Tamina Snuka. This is Asuka, man. You're a pro wrestler, and you've never heard of Asuka? You think her name's Asuka, really? And then we know that was absolutely him just throwing shade because ever since he's just been calling her some girl, that girl, and a Japanese girl. That's how he refers to Asuka. And so Bubba Dudley is trying to defend it, right? He's like, well, what did he say wrong? So he mispronounced her name, and I understand that he didn't acknowledge the actual name of Asuka. Other than that, what did he do that's wrong? Well, Bubba, you dummy! Dumbass Bubba! We used to do a segment called Stupid Shit That Bubba Says, 'cause he's stupid. Well, Bubba, let me educate you, okay? Fans aren't just upset that he said Asuka, even though that was direct shade. They're not just upset that he called Asuka some girl, that girl, and a Japanese girl, even though that was shade. It's the bigger picture. Bubba. The fact that he shits on the industry. Bubba. This is what a lot of us got pissed off at CM Punk. Even though we knew he was just angry at WWE, he was angry at professional wrestling, but he started shitting on his peers, started shitting on the fans, started talking down the pro wrestling like it's nothing. That make-believe world, and it's not real, and so we were hard on CM Punk. And he had a lot to make amends to before he got back to where he is now. So you think we're not going to be that hard on Goldberg? This dude comes back, takes a roster spot every time he comes back. By the way, he shits on WWE, shits on pro wrestling. But when he needs a big fat payday, he crawls right back. Collects a big fat $1 million, goes right back home, talks more shit. But he takes a spot, collects all this money, and then he calls his peers, the ones that are paving the way and breaking their backs every single show so that he can waltz in and collect a fat payday from said company. He can't even pronounce their name right or even say their name. No, you see, it's the bigger picture, Bubba. These are his peers. At least show respect. His streak got broke, shattered by Asuka. Asuka didn't have creative control. Take that up with Helmsley, and we know they have a little beef. So why take that out on your peers? Because they're your peers whether you like it or not. You don't want to think of that, do you, though? You want to still think you're this big NFL player. And that's why you're better than everybody else. You just happen to be doing some wrestling on the side. Last I checked, you failed. You failed at the NFL, correct? I think that's what happened. You failed. The NFL's not paying you. My Green Bay Packers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Patriots, the Jaguars, Tony Khan's father, he's not paying you. Dallas Cowboys, the Titans, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bills, the Chiefs, nobody's paying you. The NFL's not paying you. Every time you need a fat payday, you go right to Hunter Helmsley or Vince McMahon. You say, but I get one more match. I get one more match. And just to shut you up, they give you another match. And this is how you treat somebody like Asuka doesn't deserve that, bro. So it's not just the fact that you mispronounced her name or called her that. It's the fact that that's how you look at the industry. You think you are so far above it because WCW made you a monster, when the reality is you would knock yourself out because you're so stupid. You only had 3 or 4 moves, and somehow you would screw them up nearly every match. You would injure people because you would injure yourself. Why wouldn't you? And everybody else bought into your amplification. That's awesome. When your music hit, at least I knew, hey, for 4 minutes, this is going to be entertaining. He's going to knock himself out, or somebody's going to go through the can. Who knows? This dude is so stupid, it's going to be entertaining. But you started believing your own hype. And you started thinking that nobody can ever beat you. Nobody can ever have a streak that's longer than yours. You started to think that you're the best thing in this pro wrestling thing. You're the best. You and your 4 minutes of airtime. And sure, it was actually fun for what it was, right? The music's playing and you're punching smoke. And you're knocking yourself out by headbutting the door. It always sucked when you would injure somebody, but it's you. It's Goldberg. We can't expect you to throw a simple kick. But, bro, there's a reason you were around for a couple of cups of coffee. And Asuka's been doing this over 2 decades, full-time, in the WWE for years. There's a reason you only last for a couple of cups of coffee in these promotions. Part-time! And somebody like Asuka has been doing this over 2 decades. And years in just WWE alone. And is respected by all of her peers. All of them! But one. You. But I'm sure that's okay with you because you don't even think of yourself as one of their peers, right? You're so much above them. You're better than them. You're Goldberg, the failed NFL guy. You're the dude that does the spear, right? You do the spear and the jackhammer and go, ah, yeah. You're that guy. You're the guy who injured and took the career of Bret Hart, right? That's you. That's Bill Goldberg. You're the one that they piped in the name, right? That piped in chants. Goldberg. That's right. Nobody can take your streak. Asuka didn't just beat your streak, bro. She doubled it. Basically, right? 914. What was yours again? What was Goldberg's? 4 something. 477, something like that. I mean, Asuka was at 914. Not even close. If they were just doing it in spite of you, they would have hit 500 and then called it. Right? That's a slap in the face. Here's a wild concept, Goldberg. Not everything's about you. And then Bully Ray. Bubba says, I don't know why fans are saying that's disrespect. He just mispronounced her name when he called her Asuka that time. Come on, bro. Dude. Bro, there's casual wrestling fans that know how to pronounce it as Asuka. Right? They watch every now and again, but they know Asuka. I'm not saying she's at Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan level with casual fans, but so many know Asuka. And if you're in the wrestling industry, can we all agree, right? If you've even wrestled one match in the last 10 years, that means you semi must know wrestling. I would hope you know the name Asuka. Goldberg's had many matches. Goldberg has worked programs over the last 5 to 10 years. Programs. You're telling me he didn't know Asuka's name and calls her Asuka? And you're telling me that's not a problem? That's not shitting on the business, on the industry, and on his peers? Because right there alone, that would be an issue if he truly thought it was Asuka. And then, magically, right, this was many months ago he said that, and now in his recent interview, now it's back to some girl, that girl, and the Japanese girl. So now it's not even Asuka anymore. So yeah, let's call it what it is. This is direct, clear shade. Purposeful shade. And if that's the route he wants to go, that's fine. Catch the heat and the backlash, and everybody will go on their way, but Bubba, stop, man. Stop. What are we doing here? Why does everyone think there was disrespect? That was just a mispronunciation. It's all it was. It's all it was. This man, he did nothing wrong, this man. He just said. All he said was that girl beat my record. But if this was Charlie Flair, believe these words. If this was Charlie Flair, Bubba Dudley would be having a temper tantrum thrown. Because Bubba Dudley stays on the right nipple of Charlie Flair. Bubba Dudley does not come off that right tit. But it's not Charlie Flair. It's Asuka. So why would Bubba care? See, the bigger issue is the lack of respect on the industry. He is constantly shitting on the industry. More specifically, WWE, yes. And does he have gripes? Possibly. Him and Helmsley can't stand one another. They can't. After that happened, did you see what Helmsley did on Monday? He had a 3-minute video package on Asuka, and in big letters, 914-day streak. This was a direct troll on Goldberg. Because he dunked on Helmsley after the retirement match and said that he purposely cut his mic off and everything, which I also believe is true. But bro, when you start disrespecting your actual peers, because whether you like it or not, that is your peer. You come and you take roster spots and you work programs with these individuals, whether it's Asuka or not. You work programs. You're a part of the locker room for the time you're there. You just are. You're one of the boys and gals. Just like we ripped CM Punk when he was doing it. It's disrespect. Bubba, if you can't see that, it's just another reason why we have a segment called Stupid Shit That Bubba Says. Because you say stupid shit. I don't care how long you've been in the industry, how many promotions you've been with. When it comes to pro wrestling, you're a pretty dumb dude. And that is Amped Up for the 29th of October of the year 2025. Until next time, and there will be that next time. BC in the unit, we're saying check you. Salute.